All right. In the Coreform GitHub repository, we have currently two toolbar examples. One of those toolbar examples is for DAGMC, the Direct Accelerated Geometry Monte Carlo workflow. And that workflow is directed for people that are doing, for example, neutron paths and other kinds of things for especially the nuclear workflow. Um, all of that's packaged up. We'll show you a bit of that in a moment. The other toolbar that we'll actually go ahead and do a demo of is this tire cross-section toolbar. So we had a user who said, I want to be able to do 2D tire cross sections. Why is this so hard? And so we went through and developed a toolbar for them that just walks right through the process. So let's go back to Cubit again. Reset here. And let's go into our toolbars and turn on this tire cross-section toolbar. Okay, when you do that, you see I got a new set of toolbars with all these tools up here. Now, if we come out to the GitHub account, Coreform LLC, GitHub, there's a number of utilities, some different things. There's this DAGMC toolbar and the tire cross-section toolbar. If we look at the code that's in here, you can go here, download the zip file, unpack that zip file, and then there are some packaging scripts. So there's one for Windows, one for PowerShell, one for Linux, Bash. You download that, run the script, and it will create a tar.gz file. And that tar.gz file is then what you import when you come into Coreform Cubit. You do a right click in this toolbar panel, and you can do an import, and it will say, okay, what's the file that I want to import, and where do I want that stored? If you have, for example, a direction like /plugins or something, each toolbar will be stored using the name of the archive as a level so that there's some differentiation between different toolbars. You can store them all in the same place under different names. Let's look at one other thing. Let's go look at the scripts here. Double clicked there accidentally. In here, I have a Cubit util script. One of the things in this util script is it has a function to, for example, find Claro. And it actually goes through, gets the Q application from Cubit. So there's one application there. It gets all the top level widgets. And then I say, okay, for each of those top level widgets, find me the one that's named Claro and is a QMain widget. And I'll make that my parent. So now when I come into, let's just use the that's a good one. Let's use the assignment. No, I'm in the PNG. That's why I can't find what I'm looking for. There we go. Let's look at the tire geometry. If I look at the tire geometry here, I have a fairly complex script, but one of the things that it does is it finds the Claro utility, declares that global, and then uses that so that the tire geometry dialog is now has Claro itself as a parent. That helps it manage when different things are in front, so we don't lose dialogues as they go behind. That's just a helpful little utility. So let's actually go look at how this tire dialog is used. We'll go ahead and bring in a part. Now this user what they were given from their designers is just curves, and they want to create a mesh. So there's the mesh of a section of a cross section of a tire. So we come to the very first button. It pops up a little dialog. It says, oh, the smallest curve in this model is curve 30. That length is 0.6, and we're going to use a merge tolerance that's approximately half that size. We hit OK. Cubit goes off in the background. It creates an underlying surface, imprints all the curves onto the surface, separates out all those surfaces, deletes the extraneous surface, does some merging so that everything is watertight, and creates all those surfaces. We can now go through and do things like, all right, there's one piece of ply in this particular tire, and now I can create blocks. I can automatically identify, I know where the tread block is based on the geometry. I know that the piece underneath the tread is a base. I can assign some of these. Some of these that are here in the middle, the user has to go through to define, but we reduce the amount of things the user has to define dramatically. So the whole process, imprint and merge, composite, mesh, let's use a size of 1, boils down to just a series of clicks walking through the process that have been encapsulated. No matter what your process is, you could go through, if you have a process like that, create toolbars, create custom GUIs for that process to help people use Coreform Cubit or even yourself more efficiently.